Alright, check this. You're a fashionable-looking private detective in Dragon City looking into the death of a journalist. You battle your way through the enemies when...
Oh shit!
You wake up and here's the twist. You've somehow started a time loop, and each loop you'll start investigating the disappearance of a local journalist. The last person she interviewed? The man you were chasing earlier. Before we get more into this, here's the first for this channel. The key was provided to me by the publisher, so take this into account while watching this. Also, for context, I stream on Twitch and this isn't my first publisher-provided key, so personally I don't think it really clouds my judgment. So it's time to look into the case by beating a series of levels while also engaging in roguelike mechanics such as upgrading skills, unlocking equipment, and collecting a massive amount of text logs detailing the mundane and not so mundane information about the world. It's a beautiful game. Not only is it graphically impressive, it also boasts a lovely art style and RTX support, which my 1060 could not partake in. The real shame is the performance that suffers intensely in any level that isn't the first. That in turn forced me to lower the settings to around medium, and it still was not a stable 60 FPS. The gameplay is a smooth, side-scrolling 2D action platforming with a vast variety of weapons and abilities, keeping the game fresh enough to see you through the 7 endings that the game has up its sleeve. With a time loop, the question will inevitably arise. Does it stand out as a time loop adventure rather than feeling like a shallow set of restarts? While not perfect, I'd say yes. Yes it does. You'll encounter multiple varieties of the same cutscene and even more varieties of dialogue that's based on your previous actions. The biggest shame is that the game actually takes your furthest progression points, and so it was jarring to hear that after my first loop, I'd already reached dialogue lines that mentioned my non-existent countless loops that I've gone through.
Tishir, how many loops have you been through?
I've lost count. All I can do is give you new intel to consider.
Unfortunately, Steam reviews have been rough on this game, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. I guess it's bad luck? Some people complained over being knocked down from platforms, which can happen, but is completely avoidable with a good dodge, a jump, or even a well-placed preemptive strike at the enemy. Some people claim you absolutely need to parry and do whatever crazy stuff to fight bosses, which also isn't entirely true. All you need to succeed is a decent use of your gear and dodging, which is all available from the very start. This doesn't mean that all problems can be whisked away as easily, though. The writing of this game goes from mediocre at first to absolutely stupid and hilariously cheesy once the scope of the story expands. In fact, the big problem I have with a narrative is the expansion of the scope to involve a plan that's almost as extreme as world domination. Suddenly the decent mystery gets dropped and you're thrust into a conspiracy that blows everything you've learned previously out of the water. Suddenly there's no reason to care for the lore about small-time gang members in the city's history. The voice acting ranges from serviceable to extreme cheese, which honestly complements the insanity of the overall plot. The endings, from my experience though, are essentially the same thing happening with very similar lines even in just different contexts. However, I haven't experienced all of the endings yet, so maybe one of them ends up proving this point wrong. Overall, this is most certainly the most creative roguelike game that I've ever experienced, and the execution of this concept, while imperfect, met my expectations and then some. As a consumer, I would recommend waiting for a sale like literally every single other game, and then getting the game. With the current pace of updates, odds are also that you'll probably get a more polished experience. Thanks for watching.
Worthless.